Welcome back. This is Dylan with Dylan Talks Tone. Today we're going to talk about Gibson's apology letter, or is this some sort of I don't know what this is. Is this apology? Is it just kind of cover your butt sort of thing? We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Before we get going, I want to thank everybody for watching. This is not our normal sort of video. We have guitar tech videos that come out every Tuesday, and then we do a live show every Friday. This week there won't be one on 4th of July weekend because I'm actually going on a holiday, but we do pop some news in here every now and then, and that's what this is, and it is live. You can go over to the comments section, the live chat, and post your thoughts in there as we talk about this stuff. Before we get going with that, though, I want to share with you what makes all these videos possible. I would like you to go check out DylanTalksTone.com, specifically our pickup line. So we make some pretty sick humbuckers. We make some really sick P90s. We make some amazing Strat pickups, Tele pickups, all kinds of stuff. So go check out Dylan Talks Tone. And because of this whole thing, and it's 4th of July weekend and etc., I was thinking that from now, I think I made it active from noon until now. If you put in the discount code area on Dylan Talks Tone, Play Authentic, I mean, hey, why not? Play Authentic, as it's spelled right there. I think I spelled it right. You'll get 10% off from now until 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. So now through 4th of July weekend, 10% off on pickups. Any kind of pickups that you see on the website, you get a discount. Play Authentic. Why not? That's what we're doing. That's what we're talking about. So the other day, they posted this article. Well, it was actually a press release from Gibson, from their press. This is from their Prime PR group, which is their PR group. Apparently, they have a company that represents them. Hang on one second here. I am going to rearrange some things on my computer screen so I can see if anybody is watching and wants to comment. Okay, so I've got you there. So what I'm going to do is we're going to run through this real quick. I made some notes on it, some of the most important points. I actually linked it in the live chat, so you can go get this for yourself and post your thoughts on what you think of this. So here's what we're going to do. I want to talk about, it's entitled Gibson Pivots from Confrontation to Collaboration. I will tell you that our normal videos that come out on Tuesday are not this boring, but I think we need to talk about this because this is what's going on right now. Gibson pivots from confrontation to collaboration. That's what the name of the letter is, or do they, is the real question. So the first paragraph is very interesting. Since emerging from bankruptcy less than a year ago, Gibson has made significant progress in the key areas that matter most to guitarists around the world. With a clear focus on quality, a new collection of original and modern guitars, and a more confident dealer and artist base. The new team at Gibson have proven they can listen to the market to create new solutions, but there is still more work to be done, and the new team at Gibson remain on a mission. This first paragraph makes sense. Like, we want this. We want Gibson. We don't want Gibson to fail. Think what you want negatively or positively about how they look in the marketplace right now. You don't want one of the main brands to fail. It's just like you wouldn't want Ford or Chevy or Chrysler or one of the main contributors to the auto industry to go out of business. You don't want that to happen. You don't want Gibson or Fender or one of the main companies to go out of business. You just don't want that. So we want good things to happen. We want all of this stuff to happen. It makes sense. It says that they want to put a clear focus on quality. They want to talk about their new, they've got this new collection of guitars. It looks pretty good, actually. A more confident and dealer artist base. So here's the thing about that. If they are not in bankruptcy, and they are through that, then their dealers have to be confident, first of all, because they are not going to get stuck with some inventory. They're not going to get stuck out, apparently. So, I mean, even that, right? So all of this sounds good so far. There's a couple of things here, though, as we get into this. While new management is building on the legacy, quality, and craftsmanship that guitarists have come to know and expect from Gibson, they will continue to manage and attempt to resolve the conflicts of the past. Does that mean that they're just going to still sue you for some of these things that we're going to talk about in a minute? It's a really good question. Apart from inheriting an iconic brand, the team have also inherited a host of challenges, old lawsuits probably, I'm interjecting here, that they realized would take time to achieve proper resolution. They're talking about it being, I'm not going to read every word, but basically they're talking about the challenge being in the area of brand protection. With both legitimate companies in the industry infringing on iconic trademarks like Dean that we've talked about over the last couple of weeks, and with illegitimate entities attempting to counterfeit, quote unquote, knock off and pretend to be Gibson in the market. Over the last 8 months, the team have successfully dealt with over 4,500 counterfeit and knockoff guitars coming from overseas that were clearly designed to confuse the consumer. It talks about, believe it or not, whole websites that look like Dean or that look like Gibson. So yeah, we don't want counterfeit anything. Counterfeiting is stealing. Making a fake guitar and making it look like a Gibson is stealing. If you buy one of these on Amazon, or if you buy one of these on eBay, if you buy one from China that looks like a Gibson, you are part of the problem and you need to examine your head. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I've actually had people call me and say, can you make me pickups that look exactly like the thing? Because I'm putting, and I'll tell them no. I don't want to have anything to do with counterfeiting. Gibson is 100% in the right for doing this. Absolutely. They need to definitely crack down on counterfeiting because counterfeiting is theft. Now, as it pertains to other things, though, I'm going to read this other little section here. The main area of brand protection on these types of issues is trademark ownership, understanding, and assertion. Hence, our recent attempts to communicate our position, which was predominantly focused on these rogue overseas players in the market. If left unchecked, these situations can lead to continued consumer confusion and can ultimately affect the integrity of an entire industry. On the face of that paragraph, it makes 100% sense. However, this is where I have a little problem here, and I'd like you to interject in the comments what you think as well. First of all, as consumers, my comment section over the last 2 weeks since we've been talking about this tells me that as consumers, we are not very well educated on what trademark law, copyrights, patents, those are not interchangeable terms, even though everybody uses them interchangeably. I would recommend that if you want to say something about this, that you do a little bit of reading about how trademark works and that sort of stuff. It's different in every country. So as consumers, you need to, before you start hating on a brand, okay, and the rights that they have as a brand, you need to understand how the law works, or at least try to get a decent, a decent understanding of it. So here's the thing. Hence, our recent attempts to communicate our position, which was predominantly focused on these rogue overseas players in the market. Yeah, right. No, it wasn't. That whole Play Authentic video on YouTube was not. Okay, yeah, it was also, but it was not predominantly. To me, this is like a cover your butt statement in this particular sentence right here. Recently, there has been wide spectrum of both support and criticism. You think so? With the approach that has been taken by Gibson in the market regarding brand protection. Yeah, the Play Authentic video was a complete fail, whether you believe in it or not, whatever your opinion is. PR nightmare. Absolutely should have never happened. While there are clear lessons to be learned around tone and legal explanations, really? Yeah. The past few weeks have provided a real-time opportunity for Gibson to start making the pivot from less legal leverage to more industry collaboration with appropriate levels of awareness. Okay. We need to break this down a little bit. Basically, what they're saying is that video was a mistake. We need to cover our butts better when it comes to how we talk about this stuff, but we're still going to go after you. More industry collaboration. We're going to talk about what they mean by this, or what I think they mean by this. They're still going to sue people. They're still going to. Okay. The next paragraph discusses some specific things going on around consumer confusion and all that sort of stuff. Specifically, from several years ago, talking specifically about Dean. Okay. Well, let's see. Before that, most of the recent attention is on a few lawsuits in process that stem from several years of legal action initially initiated well before the new leadership arrived in November of 2018. So basically they're saying, we didn't start this. The people before us started this. Here's the problem with that. Gibson is owned by 3 banks. One bank owns 66% of them. The other 2 banks own the rest. That majority shareholder is a bank. They have stockholders. If I'm a brand and I say, I promise you stockholders that Gibson is 100-and-something-year-old company, and that name right there means everything. That means that we can still be successful. As a stockholder, I'm going to say, okay, what are you doing to defend your brand? So, whether it was an old lawsuit or not, there are going to be stockholders that are going to be leaning on this to make sure that their brand is protected. And they're not guitar players. They're bankers. They're money people. One of these, with specific regards to the inherited and ongoing legal dynamic, I like how they use that word, with Dean Guitars, the new Gibson team have made several attempts to communicate with them directly to avoid a prolonged legal battle. Yeah, they sent them cease and desist letters, and then they sued them. So this is not like, hey guys, like, we're cool, man. Like, let's like build guitars together and stuff, bro. It's not like that. That's not what they're talking about here. Gibson has genuine intentions of constructive resolution that could be beneficial to both sides. Right. Like, if you'll stop doing it and make your own body shapes, then you can keep going doing that and we will win. Like, ridiculous. It's just a nicer way to say you better stop doing what you're doing, right? So this recent situation has led the team to reevaluate their approach going forward. There's your cover your butt situation again. This is not an apology. This is a lawyer looking at the situation and saying, how do we put into words how we can protect our butts after Mark Agnesi made this video? My guess is that he and his boss, Caesar, whatever his name is, I can't say it, that's why I didn't say it, came up with this idea. Maybe they didn't run it by everybody, and it kind of backfired. That is my guess. Put in the comments what you think. So here is another sentence that I just love. Over the past few weeks, Gibson has made significant progress in reducing counterfeit attacks. Good. We don't want counterfeits. We said that. And they have entered into creative collaboration agreements with key boutique guitar makers and other related industry parties. A clear indication of their intentions going forward. It's a nice way to say, we told them to stop. We want them to stop doing what they're doing, and we sent them more letters, and we're still going to sue people. This, you guys, is not an apology. They framed it as an apology, but this is basically a legal way of covering their own butts and saying we're going to continue to do what we're going to do. Now, this video sounds what I'm saying to you sounds very Gibson hatery, right? Like I'm super against Gibson. Here's the thing. They are legally in the right place to do this. Now, did they do it correctly? Probably not. I mean, they waited a long time. If you want to get into trademark law, basically there's a couple of things there's like 7 or 8 factors that really play into it. We did a video on this a couple of weeks ago that kind of really break down those specifics. But the bottom line is they kind of waited too long to defend these this stuff. Are they going to lose? Probably. Or they're not going to get completely their way, if this makes sense. And I believe that the lawsuits that they've got going, like with Dean, were very, very strategic and specific because they could cover a bunch of bases at once. So the V, the Explorer, and some other, the 335, so that they could like set a precedent and then kind of own everything, and the SG kind of all in one shot. That's probably why they went after Dean. Are they going to win? I don't know. But what I will tell you is, as if you want to get angry about trademark law, you should look into it some more. I would do the same thing. If somebody came to me and tried to steal my name or tried to steal one of my products, I would. And I have. I have fought these fights before. I have also been a victim of somebody else stealing my stuff and it costing me a lot of money. So the stuff is there for a reason. Gibson is trying to protect their brand because, again, that logo right there and those shapes are all they have right now when they get bought out by another company. When they get bought out by a bank, those bankers don't know anything. All they know is money. So all they know is we paid for this name on this piece of paper right here and on this peg head. So we want you to protect it. They're doing the right thing for the business. Are they going about it in the right way? Probably not. Are they making any friends? Probably not. They need to be making friends right now. I kind of don't think so. And I really don't think that this letter right here or this press release did them any favors in that respect, if that makes sense. Anyway, I just wanted to share that a little bit, kind of break that down. I put a link to it, and I'll actually put it in the comment section of the video as well. I think it's kind of funny. I'm talking on my new Neat microphone that was owned by Gibson, and then the designer of it, who used to own Blue Microphones, bought it from Gibson for pennies on the dollar in the bankruptcy proceedings. I think that's awesome. So I'm using this and supporting the little guy, right? It's pretty cool. Now let's look at a couple of comments. On the EU verdict, on the EU ruling, do you know if that overrides the trademarks? In fact, here, hang on. Let's let y'all look at these at the same time as me. On the EU ruling, do you know that if that overrides the trademarks in individual countries? I do not know that for sure. I've heard it both ways. I've looked into that to try to find the answer to that, and there's enough legal depth there, and I am not a lawyer to know 100% for sure. I'm just not sure. And let's preface this at the end, post this at the end. I'm not a lawyer. If you've watched some of our other videos, you'll know that I do have some experience in brand protection from another lifetime of stuff in the power sports industry, and it's very deep, but the bottom line is you do have to protect your name, and anybody in Gibson's position is forced to do so by the position that they are in. Everybody wants to say, stop doing this and focus on building nice guitars. Well, they're doing that. But from the ownership perspective, they're owned by a bank right now. They are forced by their situation to do this right now. I would imagine that if it was just a company owned by a bunch of guitar players and they were doing fine, that they would not be so much like this, but they have been for many years because of their financial situation going downhill, forced to do this kind of stuff. And now they're probably forced by outside entities, being a bank, to do it. So it would be nice if they could be nicer about it. It would be nice if they really could. What does it say in here? Let's see. What does it say? It would be nice if they could enter into a truly creative collaboration agreement with everybody. But I really just think, my wife just sneezed in the living room, if you could hear that. I really just think that everybody needs to just calm down and watch how this goes. Are you going to be a fan of Gibson because they came out with this letter and said, I'm sorry? It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Just play the guitar you want to play, Seems to me they need to worry about the Chinese Chibsons and the Gibson name on the headstock. Not every company that builds a similar style guitar. They would have to go after everybody. That's really true. You're exactly right. And Fender in this situation has kind of just calmed down and said, we're going to do what we're going to do. And they have entered into licensing agreements, which is really, really smart. You look at our Dylan Talks Tone, our Dylan Custom Guitars Inspire series, where we use licensed Fender necks. They're made by another company, but they are licensed. And so every time I buy one of those necks, Fender gets a little piece of it. I'm totally fine with that. And then I would just use their peghead shape. Totally makes sense. I'm totally cool with that. Where it gets a little creepy and fuzzy and angry is when I go to make a peghead that doesn't try to make it a little different than Fender's, kind of like what happened with Lucky Dog Guitars, with other brands where they try to make one a little bit different and Fender says it's not different enough, so we're coming after you. That's where it gets a little stupid, but they have a right to do that. And I'm okay with paying my royalty fees through purchasing the neck that way for that line of guitars. Now on my custom guitars, we cut our own peghead shape. If they were to come after me and say it's not different enough, we would have to have a different conversation. It's two different conversations for two different circumstances. And so understanding the law and understanding what the rights are of the company, as well as, who's defending their trademarks, as well as the other person, myself, who is, trying to operate within the law. It's a different conversation that you have to have. In the EU, normally EU court rulings supersedes individual country courts. Otherwise, the country not enforcing the ruling pays fines to the EU. I'll have to take your word for that. Like I said, you may be a lawyer. I'm not sure. I don't know. That would make sense. That would make sense. Who said this was an apology, and why do they owe anybody an apology? Is it cool what they are doing? No. Do you have to agree with what Gibson is doing? No. But do they owe anybody an apology? You have a point there because they're doing the right thing for their company. But because Gibson is in such a PR mess since probably the early 2000s, probably the last 10 years or so, with quality and everything else, how many battles do you pick to fight at the same time, right? If it was me, I would be pretty quiet about this stuff until I got, until I got everything kind of more under control. But because the money guys own 66% of the company, they may not have that choice. So very, very interesting take on that. and I appreciate it. Summary: no, they're not sorry. Yeah, I mean, really, and again, they have a right to not be sorry, but they also should be more respectful of the people that have upheld their brand for the last 100 years, wouldn't you say? As customers, their actions going forward are what matters. I agree with you. And how this plays out, if this really is just if they are trying to enter into a creative collaboration agreement with many of these people and really trying to be constructive about it, a new Gibson, which we all hope they do, like positive thinking here, we hope they do. That would be amazing. And we hope they do. Like I said, we don't want bad things to happen. These are all people. This is a people with jobs that like we are supporting. Like everybody eats, when you buy my products from my website, it helps me pay my bills. Like that's, we are people, and companies are people that do jobs. So you kind of have to look at it like that as well. Gibson is not like this big cloud of doom. It's people. So hoping that they do the right thing. We hope that they do, obviously. I guess we live in a society where everybody is owed something now. Let's see. We're going to hide that comment. I can look at your comments ahead of time. So if you say nasty stuff, I can make it to where you can't. I really think you are one of the only few people who are actually getting down to the grit of things, and I really appreciate your coverage of this. You know what? Again, we're people. We're just a bunch of people that play guitars, and we want to know a brand that we actually love. There's no Gibson hate here. The beginning of this might have sounded a little negative, but I mean, they're doing that to themselves. But the bottom line is we want to play music, and we want to have fun, and we don't want to have to worry about all this stuff, and we don't want to have to go into a music store and worry that the brand that was there last week is not because they got sued by another company. Like, we don't want to worry about any of that stuff. We love what we love, and so we just are people. And when I look at this stuff, you got to look at it from both sides. You got to understand that there's a guy sitting at a desk somewhere that doesn't know about guitar stuff. He doesn't know that this peg head shape and this peg head shape aren't the same thing. All he sees is a liner sheet, and it says, we lost this much money last month because I think this, and this, and this. And then they make an action based on that. That's their job. And they are a person sitting in an office getting paid to do that thing. That's their job. It's not a malicious, I'm going after everyone in the world thing. But they're paid to do that and analyze that and then take action based on that. Then there's another guy sitting in a factory making a neck, and he's like, I wish we wouldn't have to deal with any of this crap. Like, I just want to make guitars, and I got laid off for 3 months while they were figuring this out and couldn't feed my family, right? So there's different sides to everything, and that's why I think people kind of hating on Gibson is the wrong thing to do. However, holding them accountable, and I think videos like this and conversations like this are powerful, because when we look at this and we call it what it really is, they're not saying I'm sorry. This is like a CYA agreement. Like, they're trying to just cover their butts, right? And call it what it is. So we say, Gibson, we know what you're doing. We see what you're doing. We understand why you're doing it. We get it. But you need to understand that we see this. You're not pulling anybody's wool over anybody's eyes with this. Like, we get what you're doing. Just make some guitars that we can buy, right? That's all it is to it. I don't wish bad on them, but honestly, Dean guitars could never be mistaken for Gibsons there. Yeah. I totally get it. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. We don't want any of that stuff. Guys, thanks for hanging out. I know this was a little odd video, but like I said the other day, when some cool news comes out, I'm just going to jump on live when I can. We're going to have a conversation about it. We're going to upload it. Thanks for hanging out for a few minutes. If you're new to this channel, because this is bringing a lot of new viewers, if you're new to this channel, we actually do guitar tech stuff. We talk all about guitar tech and recording and setups and all that kind of stuff. We have like 450 videos. Please, even if you hated this video or didn't like the format of it, this is not normal. Check out our other videos. That would be amazing. And I appreciate everybody hanging out with us. And we will, I guess we'll talk to you. I guess we'll talk to you on Tuesday when our new video comes out. Our new video coming out is going to be on Tuesday. Is going to be what is it? Oh, I know what it is. I'll tell you exactly what it is. We do a comparison between Telecaster bridges, short bridge and full bridge, and see if the tone is different. Super, super cool. That video comes out this coming Tuesday. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you.